So what is this meditation of the senses or sensory meditation? Somebody might call it also as mindfulness meditation. There is a subtle difference, but leave it at that. Let us see, why does meditation help? What is the reason that meditation is so beneficial for handling stress? So our mind, somebody counted it, and we get about 60,000 thoughts in the mind. Now these 60,000 thoughts, if you analyze, these are either generally of the past, these are memories of the past. Many of them could be memories which are painful memories, something that we actually want to forget but they keep coming back, so they're of that. Or they could be of the future, and future is nothing else but imagination, does not yet happen. And the brain keeps going from back to front and back to forward, back and forth, back and forth. How often is it just in the present moment? Very rare. And power relies in being in the present moment. Every time the brain goes to the past memories and it thinks something negative, some negative thoughts keep coming back. If it goes positive, that's again an expectation that we don't know whether it will happen or it will not happen. That will cause worry. And therefore the power lies in the being in the present moment. If I can train my brain to be in the present moment only, think most of the time of what do I need to do right now, my body is now in a state which is under my control, my thoughts are under my control, and those thoughts which are powerful thoughts, they control the secretion of the various chemicals that we talked of. They will secrete adrenaline, they'll secrete dopamine, they'll secrete serotonin, they'll secrete endorphins, all these other chemicals. And I get power. No stress. It has to call stress, it will be happy stress. Because now I've got passion in me. I'm saying, yes, we have to do it. We will do it. There is no stress. Let's say if you run a marathon, the real true marathon runners, they don't feel stress. They enjoy getting up in the morning at 4 o'clock and going for a 10 kilometer or a 20 kilometer or a 45 kilometer run. A person who does not want to run the marathon, you wake him up and says, oh my God, I'll run a marathon. And he starts running also, whether it's 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. He's running in a negative frame of mind. His body will be stressed completely. He'll never enjoy it. But another person can run 40 kilometers, maybe 100 kilometers and still say, wow, that was fantastic. Why? Because that person has got all these other chemicals like adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphin, all these rushing through him. The person would say, oh my God, it's so tough, I don't want to run this thing, has got more cortisol and norepinephrine running through him, and he's in a stressed out condition. He's also secreting adrenaline and all this stuff, but they're very low. His cortisol is more overpowering. But the same, if he switches his mindset to say, okay, I have to focus on my stride and running only. I'm not going to worry about, oh my God, do I have to run? What will happen? Can I run? All that stuff. I have to focus, my whole brain has to focus. He will release adrenaline, serotonins, dopamine, all those chemicals. And he'll be in the zone and he'll probably run a marathon. Yes, you need physical training for that also. You can't just get up and run a marathon. So how do you train the brain now? How do you train the brain to remain focused in the current situation, in the now, in the present? Not really think too much of the past, not of the future. It's a sensory meditation technique. Why meditation? There are many benefits of meditation. One, we said, how do you focus the brain on the present moment? Another requirement of meditation is, say, unfortunately what has happened is over a period of many years, we've been trained unknowingly to breathe very shallow. Now for our brain, inside the brain, there are 100 billion neurons. So the cells in the brain, these are called as neurons. And there are 100 billion of these neurons. These neurons, in order to function, require a lot of oxygen, require a lot of nutrition. And who provides this? Both is the blood supply. Now, you'll be surprised to know that the brain, which is just weighs about 3 kilograms, an average adult brain, 2.5 to 3 kilograms, compared to body weight of maybe 70 to 80 kilograms, this 2.5 kg mass requires 20 to 25% of the oxygen, or 25% of all the nutrition that we consume. Now that's a huge demand on the body. That 20-25% is being consumed by just this 2.5 kg bars. That's required. But we breathe shallow. If you are breathing continuously at a very shallow and the brain has to go into overdrive, it's going to fall short of blood or rather oxygen. Right? It demands oxygen. To demand oxygen, it has to again give the whole the instructions to the heart to pump the blood, the lungs to start, and we start getting into hyperventilation. We start breathing very fast, etc., etc., which we saw in the previous sections. All this happens in an instant. On the other hand, if I breathe deep, because they said that when you open the lungs, where the breathing actually happens, when you open up the lungs, there is a cell, very minute cell called as the alveoli. The alveoli is the one where the exchange, the gaseous exchange between carbon dioxide and the oxygen takes place. So oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. It happens in the lung, in the alveoli. So if you open up, it's a huge surface area. And when you see an average human being, if the surface area is something like a football field in size, an average person will use only a D area. Because we breathe very shallow, we are not giving the ample opportunity for the gaseous exchange to take place. And we are going to be deficient of oxygen every time. So when you do, so simple methodology is deep breathing as a training methodology. You so find if on average a human being will, an average person will breathe somewhere between 10 to 15 times in a minute. That's very shallow. If I can train my body to breathe deeply, and I slow down my breathing pattern and I deep breathe with the full air going into the lungs and lungs expanding, the diaphragm going down, I am going to be oxygen rich blood every time. And my ability for my brain to take decision making goes up. Because now it's got a lot of oxygen, it's got a lot of nutrition, it can take much better decisions. It does not go into a flap, does not go into, oh my God, what will happen, how will I do it, will it work? It goes in a very focused mind. So deep breathing is very essential. And there are many techniques which are available today in pranayam. There are very wonderful pranayam techniques which are very beneficial for getting a lot of oxygen, deep breathing exercise. It is not just exercise, it is a holistic exercise where all the three, that is the body, the mind and the intellect, all three are combined. It is not just physical exercise of the lungs. It is not just physical exercise of the stomach. It is an entire holistic exercise of all the three combined. Coming back to meditation. So the thing required is that we should learn to breathe to a pattern, a deep breathing pattern.